All right, we're back. Plex Report, Episode 2. My name is James Adair. I'm with Neo
I'm-
Home Loans and the Homeownership 360 team, and we've got Sorsha. Actually, I should go this way. Sorsha
Hi, I'm
Porter.
Sorsha Porter. I'm with Living Room Realty and the Tiny Empire Group, and I specialize in teaching people how to make money with their homes through midterm, short-term, and long-term rentals.
That's right. And this, our YouTube channel here, our videos are at once a week. We're going to highlight a single property that we found in the Portland marketplace, which is where we mostly operate, and just kind of talk about how we could buy it, what it would look like, what it would cost to buy it, and what kind of income, what's the net effect of having bought it for. And this is an actual client that you and I are both working with right
Yeah,
now.
this is
Um,
pretty exciting.
and so so tell me about this property. I'm going to share my screen so we can look at the actual property and tell you can while I'm doing this, you can tell the story of
Yes.
how what kind of light bulb moment went with you when you decided like this would be a property that can make some money.
Yeah, so what I do every day whenever I have a client who's interested in, house hacking or getting an income property is I like spend 15, 20 minutes of my day perusing listings for them. In this client's case, he was open to house hacking or purchasing a multi-unit. He really was open to anything. He just really wanted to keep his personal expenses low while,
He's someone else's house hack right now.
yeah, he's living in someone else's house hack. And he's like, well, I would like to do this for myself.
Yeah.
And so I found that I came across this house, and initially what I saw was just like how gorgeous it was. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And then I saw the price, and it was listed at 510. And
Mm-hmm.
my colleague and I sold a house down the road for the same price that was in complete like it was a complete rehab project house.
It's like a shambles.
Yeah, I mean, it was livable, but it was just like cosmetically it needed everything.
Right.
And this house was like done and dialed. But what
Yeah.
was really intriguing about this house for me is the master suite. And James will get to it as he's scrolling through these pictures here. Here
Is
it
this
is.
it? Is
This
this
is
it?
the master suite here. Keep going through the photos here.
Okay.
It's
Yes, it's got
huge.
the sliding door to the.
Yeah, huge. And it has a separate entrance, but this little kitchenette is what got my attention. I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is like a 200 square foot master suite with
It's
a
like a little wet
separate
bar.
entrance that's completely separate. It could be completely separated from the rest of the house. And the house is divided by a laundry area. So the
It's
other
like
side of the
it's
house
like a
has,
nice it's like a nice hotel room,
it
really.
is, it feels like a very luxy hotel in there. I mean, it's gorgeous.
And this is the bathroom.
The bathroom's incredible. And my client's quite tall, so the shower head was high enough too. But this laundry room separates the master bedroom from the rest of the house, and the master bedroom has its own entrance. So all this house needs is a doorway between the master bedroom and the rest of the house, and that master bedroom could be its own unit. And so I thought, maybe my client would like to see this because right now he's renting one bedroom in a basement that's not very nice, and this was just a big upgrade as far as aesthetics and level of finish. But on top of it, this house has been completely redone. And the 2-1 side of the house not only was super nice with a beautiful kitchen,
Yeah.
but the bathroom has double sinks and is a really good size over there. And it would be very easy to put a fence between the master suite area and the 2-1 side of the house and basically have this turn into an unofficial duplex.
Would you say the fence would go in the backyard or the front yard?
I would say the fence would go in the backyard. If you go to the backyard, I can show you the photos. And it's not super obvious from online. This was something I like strongly suspected, but wasn't sure of. But if you go up in the
So
photos a little
is
bit,
this little so this house kind of has two boxes. There's like the big box and the little box. Is this little box? Is this the bedroom?
yeah, the
Or is
little
this like
box is the master bedroom with
it's
that
like a
sliding
wing?
glass door. The
It's like
big
a
box is the main house with 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and the kitchen, and
so you
has an access door directly to that covered patio.
so
But
you could put a you could
there's
you're
also a
talking
cement
about putting a
patio.
fence down the middle back here,
Yep,
like down this little slope.
yep, right down the center of that slope. It would probably cost 1,000 to 1,500 bucks to have that done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it has a little cement patio there.
Yeah.
And then you have basically two totally separated units. The one neighbor gets one side, you get the other, you live in the main unit, and you have a gorgeous micro studio, and you could rent the other side for a minimum of $2,000. We actually comped it, and I think you could probably get 2,300
Right, because
to
it's a nice
2,500.
2 bedroom, 1 bath kind of
Yeah.
house
Yeah,
with its own yard.
with its own yard.
And they get the cool fireplace though, right?
They do. They get the really cool fireplace, which I mean, it's wood burning and it works, which is incredible.
Hmm.
And so you have basically a 200 square foot studio attached to a 1,100 square foot house. And that is pretty cool. There's plenty of parking on the property for multiple cars. And it is listed at 510, which if this house, I'm shocked that this house has been on the market as long as it has.
Yeah, let's
In
look
the-
at that. So the day we're recording this is June 2nd. It's been on the market for 14 days. So this is about to head into its third weekend.
yeah.
I
Now
always think
part
in
of
terms of weekends in this
yeah,
market.
yeah, we as realtors and lenders, we look at things very much in terms of weekends because weekends is when people look for homes. Now, there's a few reasons that it probably sat. One, we just had a holiday weekend, and as a rule of thumb, I never list a home on a holiday weekend because people go out of town for holiday weekends. They generally don't stick around to house hunt.
Yeah,
And then it's
it thins the market out. I always say holiday weekend. I always tell my buyers if they're in town, it's a good opportunity to try
yes,
to punch through
yes.
with a little less
Exactly. But this
competition.
but this went on though just the weekend before the holiday weekend. So on average right now houses are sitting for 7 to 8 days in the Portland metro area.
Hmm.
And then I think that holiday weekend extended it another week because people are out of town. It's on a busier road. Not a
Yeah,
super busy road, but definitely a busier road.
yeah. This is a kind of road that 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. it probably gets filled with cars for about 30 to 45 minutes, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree? Kind of like,
Yeah, we actually went to look at it at rush hour because I
hmm,
wanted my client to experience it at peak. I wanted
yeah,
him to see how busy it was. But the other thing is, like, that's why it's here. That's the opportunity. When you're
right,
looking to buy and hold a property for renting it out, looking at places on busier roads is okay because tenants don't really mind living on busier roads. Homeowners do. But in general, tenants at this level of home are more looking for amenities, parking, ability to
right,
keep pets with them, and
right.
and the level
That's
of finish in the home. They're
I think
often willing to sacrifice being on a busy road or that location
this
for
location is
all of
so
the
central to
yeah,
you can walk to a lot of cool things in Milwaukee. You can
yes,
get on the Orange Line, TriMet Max line goes down here and take you all the way to Nike or whatever. I mean, there's so many ways that this can be
exactly.
a good spot to live for people across the city.
Exactly. And what's cool about it is it's actually the way that the house has been chopped up is there is actually enough space in the 2-1 side for someone to live comfortably. It's like 1,100 square feet.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's huge. Most 2-1s that are currently on the market for rent right now that cost 2,000 to 2,500 in that area that are
Yeah.
of this level of niceness are apartments around 800 square feet.
Yeah.
So I was
Or
like,
yeah. Yeah.
this is a killer opportunity if my client was willing to live in that studio. And I was pretty sure he was because he like is really money conscious and really focused on putting away as much money as he can so that he can grow his portfolio.
So
And this is much
speaking of money,
uh-huh.
let's look at the money
Yeah,
and
and I think
share.
that this is the most exciting thing about this house is how well it pencils.
Right. So I use this piece of software called Mortgage Coach. Can you see this okay?
I can.
I've highlighted the key numbers. And so I'm showing four different options. For this one, 510 with 3% down. The interest rate's still in the high sixes. I'm showing 6.99.
Yep.
With mortgage insurance, taxes, property insurance, principal and interest, everything, it's a 3,800 total mortgage payment, and the cash to close all in with the down payment, the fees, the taxes, homeowners insurance, everything is 32,000 out the door, as they say in the car business, right? So it's 32.
Yes.
If you have $30,000 cash, you can buy this house and it's 3,800 a month to carry it. So now let's talk about what does that mean with income on top of it.
Yeah. So if you're gonna live in that smaller side and you put, I think, an estimate of maximum 3 grand into fencing and putting in a door,
Okay.
then you could rent the 2-1 side of the home for conservatively 2,300
Right.
a month.
Right. So
If you
then
go
you're
that
at 1,500 personal. So our client will potentially have to just budget for about 1,500 a month uh, to live there and
yeah.
own this whole real estate asset.
But, like, he's gonna be owning, while it is a smaller, like, I think the argument a lot of people make, well, is he's gonna have to live in 1 bedroom, but you have to understand, like, the average cost of renting a single room in this area runs 800 to 1,000,
Yeah.
and that's just a room, that's not including, that's usually doesn't include a little kitchenette like this one has, and it definitely doesn't include a yard and parking.
So
So
that all aside, this guy is, I mean, he's very financially conservative. He is a healthcare professional. He put himself through school. He's a physical therapist, so he put himself through some like master degree type stuff.
yep,
He had a significant amount of student loans, and he's making good money, but he's been living like a monk and
yeah,
just paying off his student. He paid off $200,000 worth of student loans, and now he's debt free. His income is strong. He doesn't have a ton of cash. Um, he's a little older for a first time home buyer. He's probably in his late 30s, and this for him, like the financial motivation is really really strong. He's like starting to feel like I'm missing out on developing equity and getting leverage in my life.
exactly.
So for him to go from, because right now I think he's paying like 600 bucks a month just to rent a bedroom or a basement in someone's house, and so now he's going to go to 1,500 of net personal cost. So he's going to go. So that's pretty easy for him. His income is strong. Um, and but
But I
look, we're
think
also, we want to
what
talk about the buy down.
Yeah, but I think what's really exciting about this property is its time on market makes it even more enticing as as an investment, because while a lot of people see time on market as like a blight on a property, when I'm looking with an investor, I see time on market as negotiating power. And
Sure.
I think this house is a good candidate for a 2-1 buy down. Now, 2-1 buy downs, James can get more into the specifics of how they work, but the seller has to pay 100% of that cost.
Correct.
So you can't, in a really hot market where people aren't negotiating seller credits, 2-1 buy downs are hard. And that is how most of housing here is when it comes to buying. But houses with time on market, you have the ability to negotiate. And with a 2-1 buy down, that brings his payment down how many dollars, James?
$635 a month saved. So what it is it's you can get the seller to pay your closing costs. You can get the seller to reduce the price. These are all these different dials you can turn when you're negotiating uh, a deal with the trying to find a meeting place where the buyer and the seller agree. You can
Yep.
say, hey, I want to offer you less than 510. No one's bought it, maybe you're asking too much. Or you can say, hey, instead of I will offer you 510, but I want you to give me a $12,000 credit to my closing costs, or in this case a $12,000 credit to my temporary mortgage buy down. So the $12,000 can go straight to the cash to close, and he'd show up instead of with 32,000 for easy math. It would be exact. He would just be able to buy the house with 20,000, and then
Yep.
his payment would be 3,800 a month. So that's one way to tackle this.
Yep.
Or we could say, let's take the 12,000 and kind of marry it to this mortgage and subsidize your payment for the first 24 payments. That's why it's called a temporary
Buy down.
rate buy down. So the first payment or the first 12 payments, the first year is start rate minus two.
Yep.
So it goes from 699 to 499 for the first year. And then the second year, payments 13 through 24 is start rate minus one, 599. So I've got here year one and year two kind of mapped out so we can see the payment. So his first year would be based on a rate of 499, and that'll be a payment of 3177. And you're saying he could get let's say 2,200 for easy math, 2,200 rent out of the other side for, right?
Yep.
Now he's only having to carry it for $1,000 a month for the first year.
Yep. And think of this, he was paying $600 a month for literally not a bedroom, but a room in a basement. And he's going to be not only increasing his payments by a very marginal amount on his personal living space, but also gaining parking and a backyard for his dog and a much nicer room and his own bathroom.
Check this out
So,
too. Like the tax benefit is $1,000 a month.
yeah, it's huge.
So if he's going to be buying this place, paying $1,000 a month, and he files taxes and he gets a $12,000 annual return, it's a wash.
Yeah, he's
So
literally he at the end of the year he could basically live in it for free.
because the tax
So,
benefit is based on the 699, you can deduct interest paid on your primary residence
yeah,
up to the first $750,000, and so this loan is below 750. Even though he's only having to pay 499, the true mortgage he's qualifying for is 699, and the seller is subsidizing that payment, so he gets the full tax deduction.
it's pretty
Um,
cool. I mean, I think that this and the thing is like this isn't something you would have found if you were looking for a multi-unit only. If you were just filtering by
Correct.
that.
That's
Like
right. That's right.
this is the thing about like our report and the eventual software we're planning to develop around it is that there's a lot of gaps in the real estate filtration softwares that don't show these properties, so you really have to hunt around for them. And
Hmm.
in this case, you know, if our client does decide to move forward with this, I think that this is a great way for him to get on the property ladder, to keep his expenses low
Hmm.
while gaining a lot of equity because houses in the surrounding areas sold for about $100,000 more at similar spec.
And what about? I mean, that's amazing. Do you think
Yeah.
that's just is that the busy road tax, or is that just
It's part of it is the busy road. Part of it, I think, was just poor timing with the listing. I
right?
think the listing agent shouldn't have I would never have listed a property on a holiday weekend. I
Well,
just
this
wouldn't have.
yeah, this is a great opportunity for a buyer. I think financially it solves a ton of. I mean, he's nervous about because on one level he's nervous about going from $600 a month to 3,800, 3,700 a month. I mean,
Which is super reasonable.
that is super shock. That's I mean in the mortgage business we call that payment shock, right?
Yeah, and
Anytime it
it's
goes
super
over
reasonable to be
100%.
shocked by that,
Yeah,
like
exactly. So he is really concerned about budgeting for that, but he does make enough money to cover this payment if he has a vacancy or has to like wait a month or so before someone moves in.
yeah,
As a first time buyer too, if we wrote this offer in June, let's say we closed first week of July or something like that, his first payment wouldn't be due till September 1st. A lot of first time buyers don't understand the way mortgages are calculated. There's a little bit of a grace period when you switch from renting to owning. We can
which
talk
is
about that
awesome if
another
you're
time.
planning to rent out a space, that gives you time to get a tenant in there without having to make a payment, which is a huge relief after you've given most of your cash up to purchase the property.
So real quick, that makes me think of if you're buying this house and the offer is accepted and you kind of get through inspections and you're like you're like it's happening. How soon can the buyer start advertising for space for rent? Can they start before they close, before they own it? Is that
Technically,
verboten?
no, I think that that would be an ethical violation. You could talk to the sellers potentially, but what I tell people to do is download the photos from the listing,
Right.
save those, set
Especially this
up.
one. They look so good.
Yeah, especially like when it's really well staged, like download those
Mhm.
photos.
Yeah.
They free. So download the photos from the listing, set up your listing on all of the platforms so that the moment you close, you can make it go live.
Awesome. So that's another huge value add that you provide to your clients is showing them how to syndicate uh, their listing for a rental property and how to monetize correctly, how to properly vet the right kind of tenant and set up make a market for that. This
Correct.
one's got a big yard. You also mentioned
Yeah,
something in
it's
passing.
almost a quarter acre lot.
You mentioned something in passing, like you could even let someone park like a recreational vehicle there, and like for
Yeah.
300 or 500 bucks a month, people in the city don't know where to put them or don't have a place. They have to go to these special storage facilities, like out in
Yeah.
like Tualatin
Storing
or
an
whatever.
storing an RV or a boat will run you, 600 bucks a month locally, and there's not really a lot of places within, 10 minutes of Portland to do that. Most of them are pretty far out. So if you have a space where someone could store a boat or an RV, you could charge them under market and just collect a few $100 a month for the pleasure of parking in your driveway.
Or
And
even add that to your, I mean, that might compromise your ability to charge a premium on the rent if you're like,
I would
"Hey, 2,200 a month and this, like, janky RV is gonna be here." But
I
you
would
could say,
I would be selective about what you allow to park on your property is my
yeah,
advice, is don't take RVs that look like crap, that look like a homeless person could be occupying it.
yeah.
I'm talking about people who have high-end recreational vehicles or nice boats with nice covers that are maybe your neighbors or local and are just looking for a secure place to park their
And
vehicle.
maybe when you're listing the rent, you could say ample boat parking or RV parking if you have, if you want, we
Yeah.
can, that's
You
negotiable
you
if
could
you have that.
totally put RV or boat parking available for additional fee and
There you
just
go.
tack that onto the rent. Now, one of the things to think about when you're looking at a space like this where there aren't separate meters for each area is that you
Meters,
need
like electrical meters, you mean?
yes, there's not a separate electrical meter, not a separate water meter, so you need to think about how much you wanna charge on a flat rate fee for utilities.
Mm,
So you do some research with you can contact the local power and utility companies and find out what the average is for the area,
okay.
and then you push that cost to the tenant, and actually a lot of people prefer flat rate utility fees, so it makes your property more appealing. Um,
Okay, so you would say it's 2,200 a month plus 150 bucks a month for power and water or something like that?
correct. Correct. So you're collecting 2,300 a month and you just need to make sure that you budget appropriately for the utilities for however many people are occupying the unit. I usually recommend adding up the utilities and dividing it by number of people, and then you count yourself as one and the other people occupying the other side as however many they have. So if there's 3 people, divide the cost by 4 and charge for 3 people's worth of utilities. If there's 2 people, divide it by 3 and charge for 2 people's worth.
Amazing. Well, I'm really hopeful that we put this deal together on this property
Yeah.
for our client. And if not, maybe we can talk to somebody else who can slot in and like take advantage of this thing.
Yeah, if you're we won't be posting this until after we verify whether or not he's going to make an offer on it, obviously. But if it's still available, James will drop that in the comment section below the video
All
when
right.
we post it.
We'll do. Well, I think that's the story for this episode. The the how to find a house to make extra money, that's not a duplex, but you can kind of create a duplex experience
Yes.
for yourself. So um, cool find, and
Thanks.
I'm excited to see what we come up with next week.
Likewise, likewise. Thanks for joining us today. If you are interested in working with a lender, definitely reach out to James. He can help you in 48 of the 50 states. And if you're looking for a realtor in the northern Oregon, southern Washington area, I would love to help you. And if you're looking for a realtor in other parts of the country that specializes in the same areas I do, I have a great network, and I would love to refer you to someone who would help you in the same way that I would here. So
That's
thanks
awesome.
for watching.
Yep.
Subscribe, like, drop us a
Yeah.
comment, let us know what you want to hear more about.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sorsha.
Bye.
Bye.